That Blind Tech Show with Brian Fischler. That Blind Tech Show. That Blind Tech Show.
Welcome back to That Blind Tech Show. I'm your co-host, Brian Fischler. We've got a great show for you coming up this week. A lot of new tech news, a lot of exciting things going on. And wanted to let the listeners know because we had some people reach out to us. Where can you find That Blind Tech Show? And we are part of the Blind Abilities Network. So if you're looking to download That Blind Tech Show to your podcast player, do not search for us. Search for Blind Abilities. We're part of the Blind Abilities Network. You'll find us there, and we will show up in your podcast feed. If you do want to write into us, you can reach us at email, and that's thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. And, of course, we're on that Twitter thing, and it's at Blind Tech Show on Twitter. But now I'd like to welcome in somebody that most of you will know from The Tech Doctor, Miss Allison Hartley. How you doing today, Allison?
Hey, Brian. I'm great. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you. And how are things treating you out there in the California?
Things are always pretty beautiful out in California. We're in Napa now, and I'm kind of living the dream. I'm working 3 blocks from my house and having a lot of time to devote to all my tech passion as well as my work, and it's going really well.
That's awesome, man. 3 blocks from home. The only thing that's better than that is working from your home like me.
Yes. Well, I do get to do that on Fridays, and my husband gets to do it all the time. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But so you get along with your husband?
For the most part.
That's good. Now, one thing that could interfere with your husband is this first tech story that you and I were discussing, robot vacuums. Do you have a robot vacuum, Allison?
We do not have a robot vacuum, but I do have a yellow lab and a dark-colored floor. So we should probably get a robot vacuum. We have Mary Maids who come in every 2 weeks. But yeah, a robot vacuum probably wouldn't go amiss during the in-between. I went on and looked at all the different models, and they do sound very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of different models out there already. We're being invaded by the robot vacuums and everything. And I think this one's called iRobot, that people have been talking a lot about the app being mostly accessible where, you can set up. Yeah.
Roomba picks up pet hair, dust, and debris for up to 2 hours, recharging itself when it needs to, which means your floors are always clean. You and Roomba from iRobot. Better together.
You can set up, schedules for it to vacuum your apartment and everything. But my question is, as you and I are both guide dog owners, don't you think a robot vacuum might freak the guide dog out?
Well, for Gary, I don't know if it would so much freak him out as he would want to try to be friends with it. And he might get frustrated because it would just keep moving. Because I know when I'm on the exercise bike, he kind of runs around and wants to chase the pedals of the exercise bike. So I imagine that a robot vacuum would be kind of the same deal, only it would never ever stop. And so it would make him sad.
It's funny because I always had this impression that dogs hated vacuums. Maybe it's the little dogs that do. But I have a cleaning lady that comes in. No, I'm not wealthy. I just, there's a lot of dog hair that
right. Same here.
Ends up. I have a yellow lab as well in the apartment, and he actually will sit there and let her vacuum him. And I don't know if I don't know, and it sucks off a decent amount of hair.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I kind of think of it as a massage for a dog almost.
Yeah.
And everything. And she's very gentle, obviously making sure that he likes it and everything. We don't want to scare the guide dog trainers out. Oh my God.
What do you think, Gare Bear? You think you want to get vacuumed? He's like, I'm sleeping.
He said, that sounds good. I gotta think though, a robot vacuum might freak him out. That might be where we have to draw the line.
Yeah, Gary is so mellow though that nothing freaks him out. Literally nothing. I mean, loud construction on our way to work. They're building a new building across from where I work, and there's all these booms and clangs and bangs, and I'm like, and he's like, whatever.
Yeah, it's incredible what they're doing with technology.
Oh my God, yeah.
You got robot vacuums, and now, I don't know if you saw this story that a 14-year-old, this is only for what I understand for GE washer and dryers.
Yes.
A 14-year-old builds some kind of contraption, I guess is the best way, that you place on the washer and dryer machines, any GE models, and it makes them fully accessible to blind people. I believe it's retailing for about $99. It was a project that the kid's father challenged him to make, and obviously he did the job.
Hi, I'm Jack Duplessis, and behind me is the talking washer module, which makes the washers and dryers speak their settings. This is to help visually impaired people who have been formerly excluded from appliances, especially washers and dryers. So a visually impaired person approached us and said, wouldn't it be great if when the knob turned, it had a home position so they could know where they are in the settings. And we took it a step further and made it so that the washers speak out the settings when they interact with it to help them be more independent when doing their laundry. So when you turn the knob,
Cold wash.
it speaks out the setting.
Activewear.
It also does these settings over here.
Spin level high.
Spin level, soil level,
Soil level heavy.
temperature.
Water temp hot.
And when you click start,
Start an activewear with an estimated 45 minutes left.
it gives them a summary of what cycle they're running. And while the cycle is running, they can click a button on the module,
About 44 minutes left on the washer.
which will give them the time left in the current cycle.
What are your thoughts about this?
Well, I saw that, and we're gonna buy one because we're gonna be in the market for a new washer and dryer any day now. The ones that we have that came with this rental house are gonna die, so we want to get our own. And what it does is this plugs into. You can get one unit that'll work for the washer and the dryer, and it plugs into the port that technicians would typically use to repair it, and it adds text-to-speech functions for things like checking the amount of time left on a cycle, setting the time, setting the cycle itself, and it makes it so that both the washer and the dryer can be operated just with one knob. So that's always been my biggest frustration with the current washer that we have, is that you can mark the arrow to set the time, but then there's this kind of secondary arrow that spins around. So it's a real pain in the butt getting it set correctly. We're absolutely going to invest in one of these appliances and also in a GE washer and dryer too, because then if we move, we can take it with us.
Yeah, no, this is making me want to buy a washer and dryer because I have not done laundry in 10 years.
Do you Wow.
No. I'm spoiled. I live in New York City, so I've got something like Fluff and Fold where I actually call them up. They come pick up my laundry, and they deliver it the very next day. And
Ooh,
it's about $15.
fancy. Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually have something here like that in Napa, and it's very popular in San Francisco. And if we weren't renting a house, we'd probably use that. So I won't call you too much of a 1%er.
Yeah, no. I'm spoiled because, you got to figure the amount of time it takes to, I don't have a washer and dryer in my building, but there's a bunch of them in the neighborhood. The amount of time that would take to schlep the bag down there, do the laundry, and it'd only be like $1 or $2 cheaper. I'm like, I don't understand why everybody in the neighborhood is not using this service.
Yeah.
And they're really nice people.
That's
that
cool.
Picks up and delivers. Yeah, so it's fantastic. And you know what? Amazingly, because in my old neighborhood where people were not nice, I'd have my neighbor take my laundry out to be done because the machines were not accessible.
Yeah.
They would complain about the dog hair in my clothes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, are you kidding me? Really? So as great as this 14-year-old creating this, and there's been a lot of blowback, and of course in the blindness community, where people, they feel that why should we have to pay an extra $99 on top of this? Isn't it about time that washers and dryers have some kind of accessibility built into them?
Well, yes, but in the meantime, I feel that we complain a lot about silly things, and this might get us ostracized a little bit, but I feel that we complain a lot about really silly things, and $99 for accessibility while we're waiting for a fully accessible model, that's practically nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I give a lot of credit to this kid for coming up with this and everything, and for his father challenging him to it. And I think it probably is time, with technology being where it is, that washers and dryers, microwaves, refrigerators, they should all be thinking accessibility for new models and stuff. Obviously not the older models and everything. We've done a great job with hammering anything with video playing on it, such as, the cable top boxes and everything.
Yep.
I don't know how the washer and dryers and the everyday appliances, they've really, I want my blender to speak to me.
Yeah. Yeah, the household appliances, it's going to be a tougher road, I think, because there are so many options, so many configurations, big and little companies that make these appliances. I have a feeling that what's going to end up happening is we're going to have to make inroads with a couple of different companies. And who knows, maybe GE will eventually incorporate this module that this kid made into newer washers and dryers so that it won't have to be a separate purchase.
And this can only help with getting attention to accessibility.
Right, absolutely. You know? Anything that lets people without disabilities understand what people with disabilities can do with the right accommodations. Anything that gives us positive publicity in that area and accessibility is a good thing, I think.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed over the last 5 years. You know, where 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you'd say accessibility or assistive technology to somebody that didn't have a disability. They had no clue what you were talking about. But these words have become mainstream.
Yeah. It's regularly now that you see regular technology sites, mainstream technology sites that have articles about accessibility like it's any other feature, because that's really all it is.
Yeah, no. So I'm hopeful. The future looks bright.
It does. It's a great time to be blind.
It is.
Yeah.
Everybody should want to be blind.
Well, we could all be blind at heart, like.
Yeah, you know. I'm a Mac user like yourself, and my spam filter does a really great job of catching most spam emails, so I never have to see them anymore. Now that that's happening and getting rid of it, I seem to be getting spam phone calls up the wazoo.
Oh, geez. For Macs now? I used to get it for Microsoft when we had or for fake Microsoft when we had a landline, but now Macs are getting it too. That sucks.
Yeah, and you know, we just wanted to bring this to people's attention. You know, you got to be smart even when, because a lot of times the calls will come in and they'll have like the same area code and the same 3-digit prefix. Yep. And I'm like, wait a minute, you just think to answer it because you think it's going to be somebody you know. Mm-hmm. And this new one that I'm getting is from Apple, and it says, "This is Apple. You need to call us immediately before you use your computer." And I decided to have some fun and call them, and I was routed to India.
Oh, boy.
I've called Apple Accessibility, and I've never been routed to India, so I didn't think this was anything official. I had some fun with it. I had so much fun with it, I can't talk about it on the show because we're PG here. You know, we're just telling people, you know, because people want us to remind them, just be smart. You know, there's a lot of scams out there, and you just really got to use your brain and think things through. Now, if you have fallen for a scam, we do want to hear about it.
Yeah.
So do email us in at That Blind Tech Show, and we promise not to use your name, but we do want to hear about the scam you fell for.
Sure. They can make these very convincing, and for people like us who depend on our technology for so much of our daily lives, it can be very nerve-wracking in that moment to think, but is this real? Should I do it? What should I do? So just always kind of slow down and think about a couple of things. Think of, you know, how would Apple have gotten this information to know that there was something with my computer? Do you even have a Mac? You know, certainly if you don't have a Mac or a PC, that was always what got me.
That was clue number one.
Yeah. And look for, like, if you get something via email, look for misspellings, look for generalizations, like, this is Apple. First of all, Apple support is not going to send you an unsolicited email. Generally speaking. So if you get something from Apple support, I would almost immediately treat it with a great deal of suspicion. Certainly, if you click on a link and they ask for your username or your password or any other personal information, immediately close the window. Also, if you're on a Mac and you're not sure if the website you're on is legitimate, you can hit Command L to open location, and that will show you the URL that you're currently at. And if it looks suspicious, just close it immediately.
Yeah, I had something today where I was, you know, working real hard. Something very important, my fantasy football rankings.
Oh, yeah.
For the
well,
upcoming
it doesn't
season.
get much more important than that.
No, it doesn't. And I had Yahoo's rankings up, and all of a sudden, I didn't press anything. It just changed sites, and it was saying, your computer is infected. Your computer is, download this software. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. Anyway, Yahoo, you know, I've been a big proponent of Yahoo, but somebody's hacked a couple of Yahoo sites because I went to it on my iPhone too, and it redirected to some kind of spam site and everything.
Ew, and that's the oldest trick in the book, making it look like you have spam, and only our software, for which you must usually pay a pretty penny, will get your files back. That's the oldest type of ransomware. So immediately just close out when something like that happens and don't download anything, because what you're going to download is itself usually the malware.
Yeah, and for us voiceover users, or if you're listening to this show, if you're not sure of something, always call VoiceOver Accessibility for Apple at 877-204-3930.
That's impressive because I don't know it at all.
Yeah, I've called it a few times and everything, so I'm 99% certain that's the number. If not, sorry about that. Don't end up buying something.
Right.
But, you know who's probably happy right now and he's dead is Steve Jobs. You know why he's happy?
Why is Steve Jobs happy?
Because Flash is going to be sleeping with the fishes as of 2020. This is very exciting because I hate Flash.
There's nothing worse in the world than Flash. It is truly the most awful thing in my life.
Oh, I put Flash 1, Terrorism 2. What about you?
Me too. Flash affects my life a lot more than terrorism now.
That is true. That is true. Boston Red Sox for me are 3, but So yeah, this was exciting news to hear Adobe finally, okay, we're going to come on board with HTML5. And, one of the things that I'm really looking forward to in the new Mac operating system is the autoplay blocking. Because
oh, me too. It drives me bonkers.
Absolutely bonkers and everything. Anytime I have to go to a site with Flash, I don't even have Flash installed on my Mac. Do you have it installed in Safari or no?
Nope. I took it all the way off.
Anytime, and this is, I guess, for Mac users, I would highly suggest, one, don't install Flash in your Safari browser. Anytime you need to use Flash, you could go ahead and install Google Chrome. And the great thing is, all you need to do is pull that website up and go to the Develop menu and go down to Open with Google Chrome, and it will open the page, and Google Chrome has Flash built into it. Makes your life a heck of a lot easier.
That is a handy tip. I like Google Chrome on the very rare occasions that I have to use Windows. That's my default browser. And I wanted to make it my default browser actually on Mac OS, but there are just a few things with reading that make it a little bit more different than Safari. With Safari now, you can read through static text with up and down arrows, and I don't think you can do that with Google Chrome as easily. You have to use the Vo keys.
What is static text? Actually, I have no clue what static text is.
So static text is any text on a web page, like an article, something that isn't a heading or a link or a button or an edit field or anything like that, something that is just straight floating just out there text. When you're reading, say, an article in Safari, if you're not going to do a say all, you can actually use on most web pages the up and down arrow keys just to go through that text. But in Chrome, I found that you couldn't do that. Now, this was a couple of months ago. Chrome was always changing.
Could always change, exactly.
I might be putting Chrome back on my Mac because I like it. It's fast.
It is good. I only use it when I have to use something with Flash. It's interesting. I'm going to definitely want to check out this static text thing because I don't even have static text in my rotor and everything, but I'm looking forward to trying that out and everything. I think that'd be great on articles when the reader doesn't work.
Right, because sometimes it doesn't, or sometimes the reader will not show the entire article.
Yeah.
That has been a problem that I have run into with Reader on occasion.
Yeah, no. But, so thanks for that. That's a good tip. Something, hey,
no
I
problem.
learned something new on my show.
Yay, I am not useless.
Oh, no. So I wanted to share an experience with Flash that I had this week because I have retinitis pigmentosa, and I was doing a survey to help potential product thing or something. They sent me a link, and I was going to have to open this window, and of course it had Flash built into it, so I went, I opened it in Safari, then I opened it in Google Chrome, and they wanted me, tested it, said it ran the test, everything works, your Flash player's up to date. Mm-hmm. So then the next day comes around, the call comes up, I have to open it, and of course it's a day later, and it's your Flash is out of date.
Ah, jeez.
They actually had somebody call me to try and walk me through, and this is a survey for blind people, and she's like, don't you see where those 3 dots are?
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
And the aggravation between trying to get Flash updated on this thing. It's the first time I ever had to do that on this. It was just mind-boggling, and I don't get, this is a survey of blind people. Why are you using a Flash player?
Yeah, that's talk about alienating your target market. That's just craziness.
Yeah, and I didn't want to just turn them off and go on a rant, to start the survey.
No, we'll find out later how I feel about those. But
yes, we will. So tune in. You're going to want to catch that. It's funny. I guess the theme of this show is sleeping with the fishes because we have Adobe Reader going, spam calls, and now the iPod Nano and Shuffle are also...
Yeah, it's a bittersweet moment for me because my very, very first Apple device in 2000 and... Let's see. I was on college roommate number 2. So, 2005 was my first. I had an iPod Touch because I had a PC at the time and iTunes wasn't accessible, and I remember my roommate just had to basically sync a bunch of stuff, but I used it at the gym and to read books. It was my first really portable listening experience where something wasn't on a CD, and so it'll always have a special place in my heart. So while I understand why they're getting rid of it, I'm kind of sad too. Now a Nano I never had, but I did have a Shuffle.
You just reminded me. I was one of those people, now that I think about it, who actually didn't think the iPod was going to catch on, and I bought some other kind of MP3 thing that was like 3 times the size, but it worked great with the PC because I too was on the PC back then, and I was definitely wrong about that. And there was actually a Big Bang episode that had a flashback, and it was like right when the iPhones were coming out or something, and Sheldon says, Apple, yeah, right. You guys are going to be regretting buying those, and he whips out his Windows Phone.
Speaking of sleeping with the fishies.
Yeah, exactly. So, you got to move on. I don't know why anybody would really want to buy a Nano or a Shuffle. I guess if you're constantly listening to music, but there's so many great ones already out there. Do you really need new ones or anything that you could probably get for much cheaper? So, this was, sad. It made us reminisce about, I have like 4, I guess they're iPad Shuffles or Nanos in a drawer somewhere. The 4th one I had actually had voiceover on it.
Yeah, I think that was I want to say that was the
Shuffle.
The Shuffle, but the Nano also had voiceover at one point too, because it had a teeny tiny itty bitty touchscreen at one point, one of the generations.
Okay.
So so it might have been a Nano, but I went from the iPod Shuffle to a creative Zenstone player, then to like the Victor Reader Stream and stuff for a while, and then I got into the iPod Touches, and I haven't looked back since in terms of touch screens.
I'm so old. I think my first one was just called an iPod.
Wow.
And it was black and white. I remember because my first one was black and white. Mm-hmm. Then they came out with the iPod Color. Ooh, you had to get that because back then I could see. And yeah, gosh, wow. So nice trip down memory lane there.
Yeah.
Now we got to flash forward because we're only about a month away from the release of iOS 11, probably.
It's coming up. It's galloping ever closer. Usually I'm very involved in the beta testing and bug reporting. I haven't been so much this summer. Just work has been super crazy. So it's kind of catching me unawares how close we're getting to the launch.
And neither of us are beta testing it, so we're just talking about things we've seen. And one cover story that really caught my attention is Notification Center is now being cover sheet, and I really have mixed feelings about this because I'm one of those blind people that gets 1 billion notifications a day.
Me too. Yes.
Yeah, it's great when you're at home because you don't have to do anything and you're hearing all the news or sports stuff. Which of your fantasy baseball players just got hurt. And you don't have to do anything. It's a little bit of a pain. I finally turned everything off on locked screen, so when I'm out, my phone's not going a mile a minute. And I'm hoping with this new thing, because one thing about notifications, the only thing that bothers me about Notification Center is after you unlock your phone and you get 1 million notifications coming in before you can do anything.
Yep.
They shouldn't do that. You just have to go to the list and you can see them right there. So, you have 15 the score notifications, and I get updates every time the Yankees score. So you can imagine.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. That's quite a lot. But yeah, the new cover sheet, I've been, reading through some of the lists, and a lot of blind people are running the beta, and there's a lot of mixed feelings about it. The swiping, you got to swipe all over to get the older, instead of it being just a list, your older ones you have to swipe up to get to. Have you read anything about this?
I have not. I used an early beta of iOS 11, and then I actually have to catch up because I have a little iPhone SE that I specifically was using for beta testing. But yeah, I had heard that some mixed reviews of the cover sheet, which just doesn't make it. It doesn't even tell you anything about what it does. I don't like the name.
No, it doesn't.
I
flow
take issue
well.
with it strongly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I Notification Center, why not just call them notifications?
Right, because that would make too much sense, and Apple wants to be all
Exactly.
mystical. And when I think of a cover sheet, I think of like a fax.
I'm thinking of like applying for a job or something.
Right,
Yeah,
I don't think of my notifications at all.
No, it's very bizarre.
It's a dumb move on Apple's part, and you know me, I'm normally like, really, really into Apple's deal, but this is stupid. I don't like it.
Apple's made some dumb moves recently. I'm gonna have to put another phone call into my good friend Tim Cook and let him know.
Well, now, Brian, we want to surprise and delight the listeners too. But that's our goal here at Apple.
You see that, listeners? You didn't even know we were gonna have a special guest, Tim Cook,
I know.
on the show.
Tim Cook. When I was 16 years old, my friend dragged me to this very scary sort of Pentecostal type church.
Yeah.
And one of the pastors, I swear to God, sounds exactly like Tim Cook. I heard his voice later, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's that scary pastor!"
Isn't that great when somebody's voice reminds you of somebody?
Yeah.
It's just something creepy.
Yeah. In that case, it was the terror of those church services. But yeah, I was like, "Oh God!"
I get so excited when I recognize actors' voices. When I'm watching something and they have like a guest appearance or something, and I'm like,
"Yep, that's Tom Hanks." Yeah.
But I'm one of those people, I have to drive everybody crazy because I have to pause it, go to IMDb, look up that episode, and make sure I'm right about the actor I said it was.
Oh yeah, I drive my husband crazy with that. Yeah.
The other thing that's really of interest that caught my eye about the new iOS 11 coming out is the whole new file structure that they're looking to go through, because iCloud Drive has made my life a living nightmare. And let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
I, set everything to iCloud Drive when it first came out in iOS 10, and, because we had iCloud, but the iCloud Drive was new.
Yeah.
What it did to my Mac Air, which has only 60 gigs of RAM, it downloaded every single file in my iCloud to my computer, taking up all the space.
Oh no.
What's the point of using the cloud if iCloud Drive is gonna put every file on the computer? So I went through.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I had to get Apple Accessibility on the phone, which is why I know the phone number. And we walked through and we got it removed. So I was on the road when this happened. So then I get home and I go to use my Mac, and my Documents folder won't open. Folders won't open. Command O won't work. Down arrows. So I have to call Apple Accessibility again. Create a screen share. All my files in my Documents folder were grayed out. iCloud Drive, basically what it did was it started to update and it stopped, and it basically removed everything from my computer.
What?
Yeah, luckily.
Oh.
Now, I didn't lose everything, because what it did was it did create an entire backup file. It was called iCloud Drive Archive. So I had to just go in there and then copy everything over. But I don't think Apple knows what it's doing with iCloud Drive.
iCloud in and of itself for Apple, it's been rough. It just seems like they've hit one roadblock after another, even back when it was Mobile Me. I mean, I remember the story of Steve Jobs giving the whole team that dressing down over the debacle that was Mobile Me. I think Tim, as much as he's able, needs to give them a similar dressing down about iCloud, because while it typically works, and I'm gonna knock on fake wood here on the coffee table, but while it typically works pretty well for me, I have heard many horror stories about it not working for people and deleting things and not being able to get things backed up or restored when you need them to. And that's just a terrible thing to note, that a lot of times we're paying, because I pay for the 2 terabyte. Yeah, to know that you're paying for something, and even if you're not, that you're entrusting your data, your life, your pictures, your whatever, to this service that doesn't give you a reliable experience. And it's Apple. It's supposed to just work. Whatever happened to it just works. You notice they took that out of their advertising really quickly after iCloud.
Yeah. Yeah, well, actually, I think it started with Apple Maps,
Yeah.
and iCloud, and the whole wishy-washy thing of we're not going to do a home assistant to now, we're coming out with the greatest sounding home assistant.
But it's not really going to be a home assistant. It's going to be a music thing that has some home assistant and yes, I will be a Apple sheeple, and I will buy probably a stereo pair of them. But
you're more committed than me, because that's something I'm very happy with my Echo, and I think it sounds great. And I've had I've had at least 3 complaints from my downstairs neighbors when I've been playing it. So I don't need anything that plays any louder.
Any louder. Well, that's how you know the sound quality is good. I'm a bit of an audiophile, so what drives me crazy about the Echo is the fake stereo. It's not real stereo separation.
I noticed that last night. Yeah.
But something that I got that actually has Alexa and AirPlay and a lot of different Wi-Fi speaker capabilities, as well as Bluetooth, is an E5 speaker from AT Guys, and we'll put the link in the show notes. And that's been really great for me in terms of having access to a better sounding version of the Echo. It can't do 100% everything that you can do on the Echo, but it can do most of it.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'll definitely want to look at that product in case I want to piss the neighbors off.
It's portable, so you can piss them off all over the apartment.
Yeah, it's something that I have not had a gaming system since the PlayStation 2 when I could still see, and I wasted, I look back at all the hours that I played on that, and I don't look back that I wasted time, because now I can't play those kind of games. All I played was the football game. I was big into Madden football, the college football game, which they no longer make, as well as baseball. And I'm hearing they're doing some phenomenal things with Xbox accessibility. And are you an Xbox owner?
We have been Xbox owners for about a week now. We got an Xbox One S with the 1 terabyte flash drive and a couple of wireless controllers and a couple of games we got so far. What Microsoft have done is they have made the interface to the Xbox accessible. So you can change settings, you can go through the different tiles, you can buy things in the store. The one thing that they don't have yet, although are rumors that they're opening up the APIs, is that the games themselves do not have text-to-speech. So for some games like Mortal Kombat, there are some guides that show you what buttons to press when, and we have had a friend helping too. Thank you, Chad. We've had a friend helping with learning that game. Something else interesting that you can do that Jeremy and I have been messing with is you can stream from your Xbox to an Xbox app on Windows 10, and the newest snapshot of NVDA actually has an OCR feature where you can use the Windows 10 OCR. And so we've been OCRing some of the screens on these games, and occasionally it will yield helpful messages like press start or press the menu button to continue, or just read some of the game text. Sometimes it doesn't. We're still kind of working on how to get it to read well all the time. It kind of depends on what you're playing. So it's a lot of fun. We got it because we really wanted to invest in the hopeful future of this platform in terms of accessibility. If you don't have the really several $100s that it costs by the time you buy the system and buy a couple of games and everything, I would hold off if it's not something that you can really afford, or just really, I mean, if you really want it, get it. Obviously, I'm all about freedom. Buy what you want. If you are not somebody who isn't patient, if you are not somebody who doesn't like to geek around and sort of half figure things out and kind of muddle your way through, this is not for you yet. It's barely for us, and we're pretty geeky.
So in other words, what I'm hearing, if I expect that I'm going to go out, buy it, load up Madden football, and start playing it with no usable vision, that ain't going to happen.
No. Now, if you are a person who has access to sighted friends or family who can read you menus and help you to maybe make a document of the layout of some games, then it might be a better solution for you. Certainly having the whole interface of the Xbox itself talk is very helpful. When you first get it, we found out through a lot of trial and error that even with the One S, which is the latest Xbox, you can't just turn narrator on. We actually had to plug it into our router, hardwire, have it do an auto software update, and then we were able to turn narrator on and get it set up properly. But again, you have to like tinkering. You have to like coming to dead ends and trying to figure out your way around obstacles. And it's you have to sort of feed off of a little bit of frustration. You have to like solving problems.
Oh, it's like when I first got the Mac, and the the good old Apple store sold me Microsoft Office, and I came home and I spent 3 days trying to get VoiceOver to work with Microsoft Office, only to find out back then that Office didn't work with VoiceOver. So.
Oh wow! Well, clearly their accessibility people got good training. Jeez.
Yeah. But this is another impressive step though by Microsoft. I mean, it's a start. And, maybe a few years from now, maybe I will be able to play Madden football. I heard the key to a lot of the games is really using your listening skills. And I guess different games have different sounds, and people are figuring out even though they can't see the games, they're figuring out what the different sound effects do. And this is obviously not for all games, but for certain games and everything. And I never in a million years would have thought I'd ever own another gaming system. And I'm not going to be – this is not for me because it's just – I'm not a big gamer and everything, and but this is something that's very promising.
Yeah, and someday it might be. You never know. But yeah, sound cues are huge. We have a nice pair of studio quality monitors that we have our TV and Xbox hooked into, and the sound cues definitely help in terms of, especially in Mortal Kombat, knowing where the players are, knowing what moves you're doing. Some of those Mortal Kombat sounds can be really disgusting, but they're very realistic. Yeah. It's really intense.
That's great, though. That's great.
Gary didn't know what to do at first. He just kind of sat there like, "Mama, what are you, Dad? What are you doing?"
my Nash does not like yelling, so.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Then Mortal Kombat is definitely, you want to keep Nashers away from the Mortal Kombat.
I used to be one of those idiots that yelled at the Yankees on TV when I first.
Oh no.
I haven't. Nash, not only does he help me see, but he's been wonders for my blood pressure because I stopped yelling at the Yankees 8 years ago because Nash would get up in my face and, "What's wrong?" And I'd be like, "That's just the Yankees, Nash." And the Yankees have been pretty bad for the last 8 years, so.
Yeah. Would he cry, or would he just like, "Daddy, what's wrong?"
He would stand up and get in my face because he thought something was seriously wrong,
and poor baby.
He does not like being around yelling.
No.
Yeah, well, the Xbox is not in my foreseeable future. I did get a new little tech toy here, and the Plantronics Voyager, I believe it's the 5500, and it's I love when you buy something and it actually turns out to be everything you expected it to be and a little better. I've always using Bluetooth earpieces to listen to podcasts or to listen to VoiceOver when I'm out in someplace crowded. And the one thing that always bothered me is I'd get a text message and I'd try and respond to it, and dictation would absolutely butcher what I said because they were either cheap earbuds and the microphone wasn't that good. Well, this earpiece, its VoiceOver sounds great through it. It's not the loudest thing, but you can definitely hear it in a crowded, loud restaurant or something. And it has a dedicated microphone to it. And so far, dictation has worked fantastic. I've actually played a Yankee game through it, listening to it. I've played podcasts. And, it's only got about 6-hour battery life. That's the one bad thing. But I've yet to run out. And you could buy a case, which I did, that you could charge the earpiece twice in the case for about $39.99 and everything. And,
nice.
So
is it just one ear? It's monaural. It's not binaural.
One ear, yeah. It's funny because I always wanted stereo earpieces, and then what's the point? I'm only listening in one ear 99% of the time because I'll walk around with it on, or when I'm on the subway, and I only listen with one ear when I'm in public, so I can obviously hear what's going on with me in the other ear. Well, normally, when I was listening to a podcast, I would turn it off when I cross a street or something. And this thing, it's not in the ear fully, so you still could hear out of ear. The other cool features is it's got some voice commands on it where I could press a button on it, and there's a beep, and I say pause, and it pauses the podcast I'm listening to. I press the button again, I say play. And it does that. You can do the same thing with answer or decline a phone call. And it also has a mute button, which also, if you hold that down, it launches Siri.
Ooh, now that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it was about $99. I think, there are some older models for about $50 that don't have all the bells and whistles. But you can get it on Amazon, and I've been very, very happy with this. So kudos to Plantronics. It's funny because the phone call quality is not as good as I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's been my experience with most Bluetooth headsets, even my Bose. I love them for listening, but even they're not fantastic for call quality.
Yeah, no. So, but overall, very happy with this product purchase, and
Oh, very cool.
this actually I could use them with our new segment that hopefully we'll be doing every show, and hopefully the guys at Blind Abilities or Patrick will come up with some theme little music to intro this in the future. But for today, we're just gonna call it "What You Watching, What You Reading," and
Nice.
I guess we'll start with you. You're more the reader. I'm more the watcher. So, but
Yeah, I am. I watch shows, kind of as I have time, but I read pretty much all the time. I have recently read a really good book series. It's kind of like a romance mystery series by Julia Spencer Fleming, and these are not religious books. They are the woman who is the main character, Claire. She is a Episcopal minister, but the religion part is just kind of on the periphery. But it's about these murder mysteries in this small town in New York, actually, and this relationship that she develops with the police chief who is married. So it's a really interesting series. You really get to love the characters, and it starts within the bleak midwinter, and it's a murder mystery surrounding an abandoned baby, and the mother is murdered. And I would start with that. It's on Bard.
yeah, and Julie, what was the author's name?
Julia Spencer Fleming.
I didn't want people to confuse her with Ian Fleming because I know he wrote the James Bond books.
All right.
People make that a lot. Julia Fleming, Ian Fleming, And just to let people know, as a New Yorker, there's plenty of small, creepy towns once you get outside of New York City.
Yep.
I mean, you got Amityville on Long Island. And once you get, believe it or not, once you get about an hour north of New York City, it's farmland. You'd be amazed.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, this is still New York and everything? I've gone up to the Baseball Hall of Fame, which is in Cooperstown, New York, a few times, and there's some creepy places you drive through. I mean, it's like...
Well, this town is called Miller's Kill, which just it makes my blood like...
Well, what's the... I've never heard of Miller's Kill, but it just doesn't sound like a... It sounds like a place with a saloon, with a door that swings open and everything. But, you also got, whatchamacallit, right outside of New York, the Headless Horseman.
Yeah. Oh,
I forget.
Ichabod Crane is Sleepy Hollow. Yeah.
You got Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
So you got Amityville.
Yeah.
Sleepy Hollow. You got some freaky places. And
Man,
I hear there are plenty of haunted places in New York City. I've never been to any, but
ooh.
What else?
Yeah, I'm very sensitive to ghosts. So ooh, yeah.
I've never seen one, but I'm blind.
Oh, they make their presence known, believe me.
I get people that ask me, they go, is there anything that you're really disappointed about that because you're blind? I say, well, I guess it means I'm never going to get to see a ghost.
That's funny. Another book that I've actually in the middle of reading, it's also available on Bard. It's called The Girl Before. And it's about this woman who gets taken away. She gets her children taken, and her husband and she get arrested, and they're calling her by a different name. She's in this institution, and she kind of has to piece her life back together, and it's kind of like a psychological thriller. It's very dark, I will warn you, but it's quite good, and the author is crap.
I've read lots of
Lots of books by
Big
crap.
fan.
Yeah.
Big fan of her work.
Well, I know that the narrator's first name is Brittany, so if you find it on Bard, it's called The Girl Before, and it's narrated by Brittany. I want to say not Brittany Costello, but Brittany something or other. It's a very, very good book. I have watched a couple of interesting things lately. I watched the first season of The Crown on Netflix, all about the royal family, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip and little Prince Charles and Princess Anne and Princess Margaret. It's a very interesting show. I can't wait for season 2. And then I watched the new House of Cards. I'm obsessed with that show.
I was disappointed. It's just too a little unrealistic for me, House of Cards. We're not going to give anything away. We don't want to give out any spoilers. But, it ended interesting. I mean, I guess they're doing another season.
Yeah, very interesting.
And,
yeah, I hope so.
two things. I'm obsessed with Netflix and just blown away by their. I think it's so great that all their original content has described video, and
Yeah.
they do a fantastic job with it too. Because
Yes, they
there
do.
is a difference between good described video and bad described video. Yes, I'm talking to you, ABC. Work on
Yeah,
your
bad described video, it's better to just have none at all if you're going to have bad described video.
I actually
think.
thought the describer fell asleep during some of the ABC shows I was watching because they like vanished and everything. But a couple things one show that I would really recommend, and it's only 8 episodes. The second season's coming out in October. Have you gotten to see Stranger Things on Netflix?
I have not, but everybody's telling me I need to watch it,
Fantastic.
so
Yeah, really good.
I should probably watch it.
Throwback to the 80s sci-fi cult classics and everything.
Nice.
And, yeah, I just finished I guess technically it's the 4th season of Arrested Development, which they did 2 years ago. Very disappointed with that, but all 4 seasons of Arrested Development do have described video, and they do have a 5th season coming out next year, so I'm hoping that'll be better than the 4th season, because I was very disappointed with that. But one thing, and the reason why nobody might be hearing from me from a while, there's some people that don't like the site. I'm a fan of the Blind Mice Smart. They just did something today, which is going to take up most of my time the rest of this summer. A show I've wanted to see for a very long time. They just released, the first place I've seen it, the first 4 seasons of the show with described video, Mad Men.
What? Oh my god, okay. Wow.
Just noticed it today on the new release list.
I'm really glad I just renewed my SenseSpace Pro membership, because I'm going to be trying to recover my password to Blind Mice Movie Martin going back on
Now,
there.
it's 7 seasons. I did look it up, so there's still 3 more seasons out there, but I'm thinking I'm hoping that if I start watching it, by the time I get through it, I'm hoping that they'll have the other seasons described. Obviously, that's something that they must be doing, because there's 4 seasons up there, and I haven't looked through the next page to see maybe the other seasons are there, but the 2 shows that I've always wanted to see with described video, and I've held off watching because I want to really enjoy it, are Mad Men and Breaking Bad. I've not seen Breaking Bad.
I don't know if Breaking Bad is available with description.
It's not.
It's not.
The first season is on Blind Mice Smart, but no other seasons are, so I'm not even going to start.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, but
I'm excited to check out. I've not been able to check out Amazon's described content yet, but I'm excited to do so. I want to check out Man on the High Castle. It's like an alternate history.
I saw the first 4 episodes with my parents when I was in Florida before they had described video. It's slow, but it's really good. I mean, if you're a history fan, I mean, it's tough to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really good. I keep waiting for the Amazon app to come to the Apple TV because I don't want to watch it on my iPhone. And the one thing that bums me out is on TiVo I could get the titles and start them playing, but they yet to have the described video tracks come through on anything for Amazon, because I've heard great things about Sneaky Pete and Bosch and that. But so there's a ton of. We just filled up people's next 2 months with great books. And,
I think so.
And watching material. And this is the best segue of all time, because we're going to go from what you're watching, what you're reading, to what's pissing off Brian now. If you were a listener to my old show, iAxis VO, this segment for some reason was very popular. We would do it sometimes, and then people would be like, "Hey, whatever happened to that segment?" So
I always liked it.
We're bringing it over to what's pissing off Brian now, and
all right,
it's Flexi, because just hearing their name enrages me. I was one of the first groups to be involved with Flexi, and I thought it was the greatest thing. And I know the keyboard, but I typed a 500-word blog using just Flexi, and I thought it was the most amazing
crap.
thing.
That's really good.
Yeah, I was able to type real fast with it. And when they kind of, I don't know if broke accessibility or took away accessibility, I just feel that Flexi, and I know they've supposedly fixed accessibility because they're out there again and people are talking about them. I really feel like they really used the blind community as their beta testers, and then they took everything away and kind of made a run for the money.
Yeah, because for a while they took accessibility totally away, like completely. Like we went from being able to use it to not at all.
Yeah, and there was Flexi VO, a separate one, and then they ended up taking that away. They just got rid of all accessibility, and they really, that was one of the few companies that really angered me, because all their testers that were using it was the blind community, and I believe they even got invited to the White House, and this is a few years ago, for like best, they were part of the whole best inventions or technology advancements for a year and everything. And yeah, I'm just sorry, they did such a sham job on the blind community. I won't even bother. I don't care if you tell me the accessibility is amazing.
Yeah, I have to say I guess I'm a little more forgiving. I'm gonna probably check it out at some point. For me though, I use so much dictation and braille screen input, and I've gotten pretty fast at the regular keyboard that I don't know how much I will really use it day to day.
Yeah, and me, I use dictation a lot for short text messages. It still likes to butcher a lot of what I say, which then drives me insane. But
it can be hilarious sometimes though. If, like, for example, if I'm just texting Jeremy, I just assume he's going to know what I mean, and sometimes I'll just send him the butchered dictation just for a laugh.
Yeah, I will too. And but when it's somebody that I don't know as well, I don't want them to come back and say, "What are you, drunk?"
What? Yeah. Or what do you want to do to me?
Yeah. So, but I have Bluetooth keyboards everywhere. So, in my backpack when I'm out and about and everything. If I've got to send anything business related or anything that's more than a few sentences, I'll just go ahead and type it, and there I am with a Bluetooth keyboard with my new Bluetooth earpiece, and I'm off and running. I look like a Time Life book operator.
Yeah.
But, so that's an old segment, but we're going to introduce a new segment again, because it wouldn't be fair to do What's Pissing Off Brian without What's Pissing Off Allison.
Oh, and there's usually something. If you read my Twitter, you'll...
Well, tell them where you are at Twitter, by the way.
My new Twitter username is Hot4Technology. Hot, the number 4 technology. I'm
sorry, I have to ask you, is that because you're hot, or does that mean because you're hot for technology? I mean, that could have a lot of meanings, that Twitter name.
Well, I like to think both.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Good to know.
I had an Apple-centric Twitter name for a while, but now I'm really trying to embrace all the different technologies that we can use, so that's why I changed it. But now for what's pissing me off. What's pissing me off are poorly written advocacy articles where they're either poorly written or they treat sighted people or people who don't know about advocacy or accessibility like dirt. Here's the thing. I've been blind my entire life. I know the frustrations that we can often face as blind people. I know that the barriers that are often very unfairly put up in front of us. And I know that oftentimes sighted people don't give us the credit that we are due as equal members of society. But I have seen a lot of articles lately, and I know we all have bad days, but I have seen articles lately just bashing sighted people for not understanding that I'm able to cook, or not understanding that I'm able to travel independently to the store, or how dare you ask how I do this or that. I'm blind, I am equal to you, and blah blah blah. And that is all true. Obviously, we are equal to our sighted counterparts. But think of it this way. You may be the first blind person that this person is coming in contact with. They may be from a culture where people with disabilities, and obviously I disagree with this, but where people with disabilities are not expected to do as much. We have to teach and educate in a way that is professional and nice, and that encourages people to ask questions and to want to learn more, rather than when they put a barrier up in front of us, we slam a door in their face. That doesn't lead to any kind of inroads to increasing awareness of our capabilities. I've also been reading some articles, and I won't call anybody out specifically because I don't do that. I've also been reading some articles where people have been ranting about lack of accessibility, whether it's of apps, of websites, of various platforms, and just the level of vitriol that I have seen towards developers. They should realize that they need to make things accessible, and accessibility is a right, and it is not just a feature, it's a human right. And yes, that's all true, but there are ways to say that again educate and lift up both us and developers, and make developers want to work with us rather than just saying screw those blind people. Because if I was a developer reading some of the comments that I have read on various sites, or some of the blog posts that I have read railing against this or that company for their lack of accessibility, I wouldn't want to work with us. I would think, wow, if this is the feedback that we're going to get when we're really trying, because a lot of these companies are trying, and a lot of them are small companies, I wouldn't want to work with us either. So just, if you're going to make a comment or write a post or anything about accessibility specifically, just take 30 seconds and think, what if I were reading this as somebody maybe who has never done accessibility work before, as somebody who may be a new developer, as somebody who maybe has never met a blind person before. Try to put yourself in the shoes of the other person is all I'm saying, because we have the power as people who are blind or visually impaired to take down some of the barriers ourselves through education, through collaborative advocacy, working with sighted people, working with developers, not just screaming, not just getting frustrated because they don't understand, because you know what? They don't understand a lot of times. And it's not right, and it shouldn't be, but we don't live in a perfect world. So just everybody kind of settle down and just, for crying out loud, be nice, you know?
Well, I guess you probably don't agree with my new motto then.
Oh?
Sighted people be stupid. I do not believe that, but it's fun to say that on a comedy stage where everybody in the audience is pretty much sighted. So,
yeah,
you get some great feedback for that. So, I don't believe. Look, I've got a mom and dad too. I love them. I don't think they're stupid. But no, I understand exactly. Getting back to being serious, I understand exactly where you're coming from. Especially when, you'd be amazed how many people have never had any interaction with somebody who's blind. And
yeah,
I always find, I've been somebody who I've, gotten fairly harsh, but it's with a company that has not responded to anything regarding accessibility in 5-10 years, and that's ESPN.
That's totally different. Yeah.
But coming out, you gotta approach these, and don't start coming out and going after somebody on Twitter. First, try and contact them. Through the App Store, you can get their contact info or a website.
Yeah.
It's always nice to go forward with a friendly, face or a friendly voice, some kind words, and introduce yourself. And you're much more likely to make headway that way. And, I'm sorry, but poorly written, there's nothing you can do about that. What did Forrest Gump say? Stupid is stupid. I don't know what that I don't recall what that statement was, but when you're dealing with advocacy, that's a very, very sensitive topic. You got to really make sure that you're handling things in the correct way.
Sure, and even if you do start out, because sometimes the easiest way to reach out to a developer might be on social media, but I've always tried to frame it in terms of, hey, just wanted to let you know that I'm blind. I'm using your app. I am having a couple of difficulties in terms of VoiceOver accessibility. VoiceOver is a screen reader that we use because we're blind. It's a screen reader for iOS. I'd really like to help you figure out some ways forward in terms of making accessibility better. Why don't you get in contact with me or let me know how I can best help you.
I'm sorry, but that's going to be over 140 characters.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to change that character limit on Twitter, but don't even get me started on that.
Yeah, but
that's a whole nother what's pissing us off.
We'll have it next go around. You see, we've already got material for the next show. So, and
that's right.
It's hard to believe, this has been great, Allison. This has been a ton of fun. I know, Allison, if you want to get in touch with her, she's at Hot for Technology. We're at Twitter is at Blind Tech Show, and if you want to be more than 140 characters, we're at thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. Any last words, Allison?
Yep, just remember that the 4 is a number 4, hot 4, number 4 technology. I tried to get hot FOR technology, but it didn't work out. So
I made that mistake 3 times. I was tweeting that you were going to be on the show, and I wrote. I wonder who
you contacted.
Yeah. I have a date later tonight with somebody named Hot for Technology, FOUR.
Nice.
So we're recording another show. But no, I did that, and then I was like, I'd better check what that is, and I went through character. I went back and deleted the tweets and everything. So. But no, that was a lot of fun. So this was a lot of fun, though, Allison. And
thank you so much. I've had a great time. I can't wait to come back.
Definitely. We're looking forward to it, and we'll have you back soon. As my computer starts talking, I guess I got to say we are out for now.
Bye.
That Blind Tech Show with Brian Fischler. That Blind Tech Show. That Blind Tech Show.
Follow That Blind Tech Show on Twitter at Blind Tech Show and send an email to That Blind Tech Show, and don't miss an episode of That Blind Tech Show by downloading the Blind Abilities feed. It's 2 words, Blind Abilities. You can be found on the web at www.blindabilities.com and on Twitter at Blind Abilities. Thanks for listening and have a good day. Till next time, bye-bye.